Hey everybody. Um, a lot of you guys have hit me up on Instagram to let me know that you guys wanted an editing video. So today's the day. Um, it's not going to be too technical. At least I hope it's not. I'm trying to make it fairly simple so everybody can follow. But we're gonna get into it. So as a disclaimer, you're gonna see me use this panel a lot. Um, it's not necessarily meant to make your editing better. Some of you guys may know about it. Some don't. It's called the Retouching Academy retouch panel. It's meant to speed up your editing, not so much to make it better, because sometimes it could be a little bit time consuming to make different layers. So this just makes the layers for you. All right, let's get into as far as tools. The tools we're going to be using is the spot healing brush and the heating brush tool, along with the brush tool. Those are the only three tools we'll be using today. So we start off with making a copy of our background layer. Typically, sometimes you don't want to work on a background layer. Some people do. I don't, because sometimes if I mess up, I want to have someplace where I can revert back to and start over. So, let's zoom in on this. All right, you can see where we need to kind of clean up. We have loose hairs, we have pimples, we have blemishes, um, cracked makeup. I know it looks like a lot, but it's really simple. I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible. So let's start off here. All right, first thing we want to do is I like to work on a empty layer first, as far as what I'm cleaning up. Well, let's name it actually, just to be a bit more organized. Let's call it clean. And I'm going to start off with the hairs first. So I'm going to use the spot healing brush to get rid of those. For things like loose hair, I like to use the spot healing brush for things like loose hair because it just makes it so much simpler. And that's it. Here you go. Alright, now you can work on pimples and blemishes two different ways. You can either use the spot healing brush like so, and it does a really good job. It's a fairly new tool in Photoshop, I believe. It hasn't really been out that long. Or you can use the healing brush. Now with this, I like this because I have better control over what exactly I wanna clone out. So for this, you would sample a part of your image. So let's zoom in just a little bit more. I'm going to get rid of this blemish here. So you'll sample one part of your image and then keel over it like so. I like this because I'm using a pressure sensitive tablet. So the harder I press, the more the effect applies to that particular point. So I have endless amount of control over how much I want to apply the particular edit. So I'm going to continue to be using the healing brush to get rid of um, majority of these blemishes on our forehead and temple area. And again, you just pick your point. You want to pick a point relatively close to wherever you're trying to get rid of, and then mask over it like so. And it's fairly simple. I'm sorry about the audio, you guys. I don't have a mic, so if you are having a hard time hearing me, you could put some headphones in, and you should be able to hear me just fine. Let's get rid of this here. Actually, let's switch back to this. You can go slow. Just go your pace. You don't have to rush too much because typically when you take your time, you typically come out with a better edit. Now I've been doing this for a while, so um, I tend to go a little bit faster than most people do. And again, you're just learning, so well, some of you are just learning, so it's perfectly fine to go slow. Check our work before. You can see we did a lot of work in that short period of time. We did a lot, so I told you it's not going to be that hard. Let's zoom out and work on the rest of the face. Let's get rid of this underneath her eye here. It's a bit distracting. And I like to work in sections. You noticed I worked on the forehead first, and then I move around my image. I typically don't spend a lot of time on cleanup because a lot of a lot of the inconsistencies as far as skin color can be fixed with dodge and burn. But we'll get into the dodge and burn once we're finished with the cleanup. We want to get typically for the bigger inconsistencies in the skin, I use a spot healing brush because it just works a bit better. Now it doesn't work for every situation, but for big for big instances like this, I like to use it. We can get rid of this thing here. Okay, so for this area here, it's going to require a bit more work because there's texture issues combined with color. So typically with a situation like this, I'll you could just dodge and burn all of this, but to make the dodge and burn to make that part a little easier, I'll work on the cleanup layer first to kind of give me a head start. So we get rid of that, and then clone that over to kind of blend in the skin a little bit. And you want to do that until you get to a point where you're comfortable. As you can see, I typically work with a small brush. I don't like working with a big brush, especially with this, because sometimes working with a big brush, you won't get as clean as an edit as you want to. So working with a smaller brush, you'll be able to have again, a bit more control on where you're editing. Get rid of that here. You don't want to over edit because sometimes when you over edit, um, it's very noticeable. So you want to get rid of enough to where it's acceptable, but it still keeps realism in the photo. Zoom on and see what we've done so far. Yeah, we can do a little bit more work along this area here. You're basically just trying to get everything to blend out evenly so it isn't any patches. And for the darker areas, you can just dodge and burn. Alright, that looks a lot better. Okay, I believe we are done with cleanup. The good thing about working in layers is if you do move on to the next step and then you see something that you want to correct, you can always go back to that particular layer and fix it and then seamlessly move on to the next layer. Alright, time for dodge and burn. But first, I'm going to show you guys how to make a dodge layer and how to make a burn layer manually, because I know some of you may not have this panel. So first things first, you want to open up a curves layer and put it up just enough to where you're comfortable, about there. Then what you want to do is you want to invert it. You just click on the empty layer and invert. And now when you draw anywhere, let's switch to our pen tool. Now when you draw anywhere, it'll only affect the area that you draw on. So like the eyes, see here? It won't affect the image, so that's perfect. And then with the burn layers, same thing. Curves layer, bring the exposure down, invert, and it's the same thing. And there you are. So let's delete these two because we're not going to be using them. With the control panel, it makes the layers for you. So if I wanted a dodge and burn layer, dodge and burn would be these two here, dodge and burn. You can also make a help layer. This is just a black and white layer so you can see the inconsistency in the skin a lot better. I use this sometimes depending on the image. You don't have to if you don't want to. Cause sometimes it can be a little hard to see what areas you need to dodge and burn because of depending on the picture and the lighting. So this just kind of helps to kind of show you as far as what areas need the most work. I think for now we're gonna leave this on for now, just for the sake of the video, and then I'm gonna turn it off a little later. So let's start with, let's switch these. Dodging. So the basis of dodging is you're basically darkening and lightening pixels in the image to even out the skin. Now you could do this, there are many ways to even out the skin, I mean, but this is just the way I prefer because I tend to get a cleaner edit this way, and this is the way I was taught. So let's a quick tip: if you want to easily size your brush in Photoshop, I think the hotkey is Alt and the right mouse button. I think, yeah. So it's right in the right mouse button to size your brush a little bit faster. So let's work with a fairly small brush, about that big, and you want to keep your flow at 1, opacity at 100. I'm working with pressure sensitivity. If you guys have a tablet that has that, use it. I would suggest you do. It makes it a lot easier. It's just like drawing on paper. The harder you press, the more effect you get. The less you press, the less the effect. Alright, so let's begin. So I don't know if you guys can see, but actually, wait, let me show you guys a little sooner. Let's switch this to red. So I can kind of show you guys what exactly you'll be. Ah, that's why. Okay, so the areas you're trying to dodge and burn would be inconsistencies like here. So you see how you have this dark area here, then it goes to light, then there's a dark patch here. Same thing with this area here, this area here, this area here. That could be dot like this could be burnt, and then this area here can be dot. So you're basically evening out the skin, so you get this clean color here. Well, it's in black and white, but you get the picture. So let's begin. Let's get rid of this. Don't need this. Oh, whenever your layers are inverted, you always want to draw with white. Because if you draw with black, you won't see your effect. But just if you switch it to white, you'll definitely see the effect. So just in case if you ever do this and you're like dodging and nothing's happening, make sure your color switch to white. Let's make our brush even smaller. All right, so I like to work with a really small brush. It may take a little longer, but I realize that I get the best results when I work with a smaller brush and work slow. So let's start with this area here. Oh wait, that's way too high. Start with this area here. As you can see, I'm just dodging away this darker part of the skin. And you won't get this overnight. It does take a bit of time to kind of learn this and understand where you need to dodge and where you need to burn. There are a magnitude of tutorials that you can watch, but this is just how I like to do it. I like to dodge first on whatever area I'm working on and then come in and burn. Now it may seem like you're not doing anything at all, like you're what's going on, like this is not working, but just be patient. Once it all comes together, the results are amazing. So please bear with me. If you want to see the areas that you need to dodge and burn even easier, you can make your black and white layer even darker, and then you can see even better the inconsistencies in the skin. So this area here, you can lighten this area here, this here. Okay, now you see this line here, you definitely need to dodge that. So you dodge, sorry, burn, sorry, and you'll burn that in to even out with the rest of the image. Now if you check our before and after, see? And you're basically doing that for whatever particular area you're working on. And that's our dodge. Now typically you're going to be dodging a lot more than you're going to be burning. And that's depending on the image, but more than likely you're going to be dodging more than you burn. Let's bring this back up because I actually don't need it that dark. And you want to be careful when you're dodging and burning because sometimes you can over edit if you're not too careful. So just take your time and pay attention. it'll be a good idea to understand makeup, because makeup in a way, dodge and burn and makeup in a way kind of work together in a way. So if you understand makeup and how makeup works on the skin, you can easily understand dodging and burning, because makeup, basically makeup, you're blending to even out the skin. Same thing with dodge and burn, you're blending to even out the skin. So just if you do have a good understanding of makeup, you have a good understanding of what dodge and burn is. And I actually became a better editor because I learned to understand about makeup a bit more. And that just comes with being a photographer. You'll eventually work with different makeup artists, and you'll start understanding makeup, because they both go in hand in hand. Without a good makeup artist, you won't have a good edit, unless you're doing like a natural shoot or something where it's no need for a makeup artist. All right, so I'm gonna finish this area, and I don't think I'm gonna time lapse the video. I'm just gonna sit here and work, and you guys can watch and follow along, and kind of just watch to see what I'm doing, and then I'll come back once I'm finished. Alright, we're back and we're just about done with this area. I'm just putting in a few last finishing touches. Here. We are good. Let's check our before and after. And as you can see, we did quite a bit of work. I know it looks a bit minuscule, but it does make a big difference as far as how the image looks. It really gets rid of those small inconsistencies in the skin. Always toggle on and off your effects so you can kind of see if you missed any places. Like I can see right now, I can work a bit more in this area here. Let's make her hairline just a bit darker. Kind of make that look more even. Burn this part here. And that looks great. Alright, let's move on to the next area, which will be this area here. Now, it's not that much we have to do. And it's the same concept. The small inconsistencies like here. You see where you have dark and then you have this light patch going through here. You want to burn that to kind of even everything out. So you want to burn that. See how now it looks more even? That's all you're doing. Looking for inconsistencies and then evening those parts of the skin out. And again, you want to take your time. You can see the speed I'm going because I've been doing this for so long, so I kind of have an idea of what to dodge and what not to burn. Now, you don't want to dodge and burn everything because it can make the skin look flat. So you want to dodge in the sense of where you can still keep the 3D effect of the face. Because you're essentially evening out the face and the skin, you're not changing anything. Because sometimes if you dodge and burn too much, you can actually change the structure of the skin because you're manipulating light. So keep that in mind. Here we just want to lighten just a little bit. Don't want to do too much in this area. And with editing, you don't want to change too much or change anything at all. You wanted to make it look like you didn't even touch the image. Because sometimes you may see, at least I'm biased towards it. I like a more natural approach to editing. I don't like the whole super smooth, super clean edits because to me, it looks a bit fake. I like to keep things natural and keep things looking natural. And dodging and burning is a good way to retain your subject's skin texture as far as if you want to retain that realism in your image. I'm gonna even out this just a little bit more. And once you get better at this, you'll just see the areas that need to get um, worked on. Because when starting out, it can take a bit of time to kind of know where to start. But just pick a particular area and start from there, and then work your way around. And then eventually, it'll just come easy. For this area here, we can probably use a bigger brush. About that. And just kind of lighten this a little bit more, but not too much. And we're working on a very small flow, so we're just basically building up the effect. This is much easier because it's a lot easier to control as far as um, what's being affected. And you'll probably like make much less mistakes this way. Ah, crap. I don't know if you guys just seen what I did there. I was working with black and nothing was happening. So as I said again, make sure you're working on white, working with white. Sorry. You can burn this part here. And again, take your time. There's no need to rush. Now for this area here, because I want to make it a bit lighter, I'm going to increase my flow to 2. And get a bigger brush so that I can raise my effect just a little bit more. Because this is probably the darkest part that I'll be dodging and burning. So, alright, that looks good. Then you want to even that out with our burn layer. check our before and after. And like I said before, as you can see, it may look like you're not doing much, but when everything is put together towards the end, it makes a big difference. So I saved the eyes for the last because the eyes can be a bit tricky. Now, you don't want to take away too much from the eyes as far as what's already there, because sometimes it can make the person look, I think fake is the word I want to use. So you kind of want to take away enough so where it looks clean, but leave enough so where it looks natural. Also, let's zoom in. Now I'm going to be covering the area as far as this whole section here and the nose. So let's get a smaller brush. And we're still on our dodge layer. And we just want to clean up this area here. Just to soften up her look a little bit more. Because remember, we're not changing anything, we're just enhancing what's already there. So I'm going to work on this side first. Lighten up the pixels in this area. Let's see what we did so far. And don't worry if you don't get everything. After Dodge and Burn, I'm going to show you guys a technique that you can use to kind of just clean up the rest of the image and give it a nice clean finish. Actually, you can burn this area here. It's looking good. We're actually going to go back to our clean layer and erase some of these lines. Actually, see this here. That's good. We're gonna clean up the rest with dodge and burn. Now, you don't have to get everything because nobody's going to be looking at your images this close if it's going online or Facebook or Instagram. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I can't help it. Get the nose. We're going to bigger brush for this. That is looking great. One more thing. Zoom out. So this is our cleanup layer. As you can see, we did a substantial amount of work, and this is our dodge layer. You can see we did a small amount of work, but it made a big difference to the image. Alright, so to clean up the image a little bit more, you want to make a new layer, and then head over here to your brush. And you want to get a fairly big brush, not too big. Big enough for the area that you're working with. So about so. And what you want to do, you want to sample. I like this color. Sample a part of the skin that's generally no. Sample part of the skin that doesn't have too much color. And then with your flow at 1, you want to just gently go over the image. This will just refine the image a little bit more. Sample here. All you're doing is just blending a little bit more so that the image looks a lot cleaner. Perfect. Let's bring our opacity down just a little bit. You can see our model has heavy makeup, so we're going to enhance that makeup a little bit. So we want to get a black and white layer and change it to soft light. We want to invert that. Actually, wait, my buttons are stuck. Oh, let's get rid of this. There we go. Invert it. And around the eye area, here, we want to just enhance that look a little bit more. So we can put our follow up to about 25%, 26. Zoom out just a little bit and just color this area here. Get the eyebrows. Lips. I like that you go over the highlighted areas too to kind of give them a little bit of shine and to make her skin pop a bit more. So here on the cheek, this cheek here. And if the effect is too strong, you can always bring down your opacity to lighten the effect a bit. A little bit more. Alright, that's good. And there we have it. We are finished. So let's go over what we've done so far. Let's turn off all of our layers. So this is the base image we started off with. And after our cleanup was done, loose hairs, pimples, everything, but you can see our skin is just really needs some work. So this is our burn layer and our dodge. You can see how much work, how much of a difference dodge and burn make. This is our layer to kind of enhance the changes we did with dodge and burn. And this is for makeup. And that's it, guys. I'll probably be uploading another video on RAWs, what you do with your pictures before you bring it into Photoshop. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys in the next one.